Little girl thrown out for stealing a spoon of milk. Suddenly, a millionaire stepped in, and it was a cold evening in the small town where the lights flickered weakly through the cracked windows of broken homes and the streets smelled of dust, smoke, and survival. In one corner of this town lived a frail little girl named Amina, no older than 8, her hair tangled, her feet bare, and her stomach empty for days. Hunger had eaten away not only her strength but also her innocence, and desperation had begun to whisper in her young mind. She had no father, for he had died in an accident when she was too small to remember his face, and her mother had been bedridden for months with an illness that no doctor in the poor district cared to treat without money. On that fateful evening, Amina entered a small roadside tea stall, her eyes fixed on a pot of boiling milk. She didn't want much, just a single spoon of milk, not for herself, but for her mother, who lay coughing in their shanty, her lips cracked from thirst. With trembling hands, she reached out and dipped a spoon into the steaming pot, when suddenly the stall owner caught her wrist and shouted so loudly that even people across the street turned to look. "Thief! Thief!" he screamed, dragging her by the arm and throwing her onto the muddy road. The hot spoon clattered from her hand, spilling drops of milk that vanished into the dirt, as if even the earth had rejected her need. People gathered, whispering and mocking, "Look at her, stealing milk like a beggar child." Some laughed, others sneered, and a few shook their heads but walked away. Nobody stepped forward to help. Amina sat on the ground, tears streaking, her dusty cheeks, her tiny chest heaving with sobs. She pleaded, "I wasn't stealing for myself. I just wanted a spoon for my mother." But no one listened. The stall owner raised his hand as if to strike her again, and in that exact moment, the scene froze, because someone unexpected had been watching. From the shadow of a black luxury car parked nearby, a man stepped forward. His presence was so commanding that the crowd instantly fell silent. He was tall, dressed in a sharp suit, his shoes polished to a shine that reflected even the dim streetlights. His watch gleamed with the subtle weight of wealth, and his eyes burned with something deeper than anger. It was authority mixed with empathy. This man was Mr. Zayan Malik, a millionaire businessman who rarely passed through the poor district, but tonight fate had brought him here. He raised his voice, calm but powerful. "Who dares to treat a child like this?" The stall owner stuttered, his face pale. "Sir, she was stealing milk." Zayan looked down at the trembling girl, then back at the man, his voice sharper. "Now, stealing a spoon of milk, do you call that theft? Or is it your heart that has been stolen by greed?" The crowd gasped. The stall owner tried to defend himself, but Zayan cut him off, pulling out a bundle of cash. "Here, this is more than your entire day's earnings. Take it and never raise your hand on a child again." He threw the money onto the stall counter, then knelt beside Amina, lifting her gently as if she were made of glass. Her eyes widened, not understanding why a stranger of such wealth would care. And here, dear viewer, is where the story truly begins, where the universe places an innocent child's fate into the hands of a man who himself carried scars hidden beneath layers of luxury. And if you are watching this right now, don't forget to subscribe, because what happens next will leave you breathless every 2 minutes, with turns you never saw coming. As Zayan guided Amina into his car, the people murmured, "Why would a millionaire care about a street thief?" Some assumed he was showing off, others whispered of hidden motives. But in truth, Zayan was reminded of something from his own painful childhood. You see, years ago, when Zayan was barely 12, he too had been thrown out of a shop for trying to steal bread for his starving siblings. He remembered the humiliation, the sting of being called a thief when all he wanted was survival. Tonight, in Amina's eyes, he saw his younger self. But there was more, a memory of the mysterious man who once helped him in his darkest moment. Could it be that fate was circling back, Suspense hangs in the air because not everything is as it seems. Inside the sleek black car, Amina clutched her hands tightly, afraid this rich man might punish her later. "Why? Why did you help me?" she whispered. Zayan gave a faint smile. "Because once I was you." She tilted her head, confused, and he promised, "I'll explain. But first we must see your mother." They drove through the night, reaching her shabby home, where her mother lay weak and coughing on a tattered mat. Zayan's eyes hardened at the sight. It was worse than he had imagined. He called his assistant immediately, ordering doctors, medicines, and supplies. But as the doctor examined Amina's mother, he paused, his face serious. He pulled Zayan aside and whispered something shocking. Zayan's expression darkened, his jaw tightened, and he looked back at Amina, who clutched her mother's hand, oblivious to the words just exchanged. What did the doctor say? Why did Zayan suddenly look as if the ground beneath him had shifted? Here lies your next suspense, because secrets of the past were about to collide with the present in ways no one expected. The night stretched long and heavy, but for Amina, it felt like her entire world had been turned upside down. Hours after the doctor had visited, her mother was resting with an IV drip provided by Zayan's medical team. But Zayan himself was pacing outside the shabby house, his thoughts clouded by the doctor's whispered words. "Her illness, it's advanced," the doctor had said. "She needs long-term treatment, not just for her lungs, but there's something genetic, something you should know." At first, Zayan had dismissed it, but the doctor's eyes told a story too heavy to ignore. Could there be a connection between Amina's family and his own? Was destiny weaving something deeper than mere coincidence? Viewers, this is the moment to stay with me, because what you are about to hear will shock you, just as it shocked Zayan. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the truth in the next minutes is darker than you can imagine. When Zayan finally stepped back into the room, Amina ran to him, clutching his hand with innocent trust. "Will Mama be okay?" she asked, her eyes wide with hope. Zayan knelt down, forcing a reassuring smile, though his mind was a storm. "She will," he whispered, "because I'll make sure of it." But the suspense didn't end there. The doctor had left behind a sealed envelope with test results, telling Zayan to open it privately. Later, as he sat in his car, he tore it open and froze. The name on the medical file wasn't just Amina's mother's. It carried a surname that shook him to his core. Malik, the same as his. The same as his estranged brother, who had disappeared years ago after a family dispute over inheritance. Was it possible? Could Amina's mother be connected to his bloodline? The question tightened around his chest like chains. But before he could process it, his phone rang. On the other end was his assistant, panic in his voice. "Sir, we have a problem. The stall owner you humiliated earlier, he's not just a tea seller. He's connected to a powerful local gang. They've taken your gesture as an insult, and now they're looking for that little girl." Suspense explodes here. Suddenly, the act of kindness had triggered danger, and Zayan knew the gang wouldn't stop until they got revenge. Rushing back inside, he scooped Amina into his arms, whispering to her sleeping mother, "I promise I'll protect her." He ordered his team to transfer the mother to a secure hospital, guarded day and night. Then, under the cover of darkness, he drove Amina to his private estate, a sprawling mansion on the edge of the city. For the first time in her life, Amina saw marble floors, chandeliers glittering like stars, and tables filled with food. But even in the middle of luxury, her small hands trembled as she asked, "Why am I here? Why are they after me?" Zayan looked into her eyes, his voice steady. "Because sometimes, when you touch the heart of a powerful man, you also touch the pride of his enemies. But don't be afraid, little one. As long as I'm here, no one can harm you." And yet, even As he spoke, his security cameras detected movement at the gates, black vans circling the estate, shadows moving closer. The gang had found them. Viewers, do you feel the tension rising? If you want to know how a millionaire defends a child against menacing forces, stay with this story and subscribe, because every second from here holds a twist you won't forget. The estate turned into a fortress that night. Security lights flashed, guards armed themselves, and Zion himself stood at the front gates, refusing to hide behind walls. The gang leader stepped forward, his face scarred, his voice dripping with venom. "You embarrassed my man in public. Now we'll take the girl as payment." But Zion's reply thundered like a storm. "Over my dead body." The gang charged, chaos erupted, and within minutes the estate was under siege. Amina hid behind a curtain, her small body shaking, but then she remembered something. Her mother's lullaby, words about courage that even in the smallest heart there lies the power of lions. She clutched the edge of the curtain, whispering to herself, "Mama said never to give up," and in that moment her courage sparked something Zion had lost long ago: faith. The battle was brutal, but Zion's men fought fiercely. Just when the gang leader cornered Zion with a blade, Amina screamed so loudly that it distracted him for a split second, enough for Zion to overpower him. Police sirens wailed in the distance, reinforcements finally arriving. The gang scattered, but not before leaving a chilling warning: this isn't over. And they were right, because the biggest suspense was still hidden, not outside with the gang, but inside the truth of who Amina's family really was. Days later, as Amina's mother recovered in the hospital, Zion confronted her gently, holding the medical report. "Tell me, why does your file carry the name Malik? Are you connected to my family?" Tears welled in her eyes, and she nodded slowly. "Yes, I am your brother's widow, and Amina is your niece." Silence fell like thunder. Zion's knees weakened, his breath caught in his chest. All along, the child he had saved was not just a stranger, it was his own blood. The universe had brought her back to him through pain, hunger, and fate. And here, viewers, lies the most powerful truth. Sometimes the one you help in the darkest street is not just a stranger, but your own destiny waiting in disguise. This is why kindness matters. This is why empathy saves lives. And if this story has touched your heart even a little, don't forget to subscribe, because more true-to-life stories like this are waiting for you.